Okay, good day, morning, afternoon, wherever you guys are listening to this episode of Lawyers with Stories. I apologize for the hiatus in episodes. We've had mix-ups with guests and people not pitching, and of course life happening, so people are postponing. So I haven't been doing my religious every 2 week upload, and I apologize for that. But I promise today is going to be a good one. Um, and I just want to introduce the objectives of this podcast. So you call it, or I call it Lawyers with Stories for a reason. It's because all of us, at the end of the day, even if we are successful in our field, we are human beings that came up with parents, with backstories, with drama, right? Maybe not a straight academic path. And so we're just trying to debunk all of the misconceptions and to present people to you that you may perceive to be successful, and they are successful, but of course it wasn't always a straight journey to the top. And I think that's the lie or the myth that gets perpetuated at university, that it's going to be a straight line and everything's just going to work out, and all your peers and yourself, you guys are going to be on the same trajectory. And of course, when that doesn't pan out, then from my experience, students, graduates, they tend to have an existential crisis. So these are people that I'm showcasing. Not all of them are extremely successful. Again, we want to present a very realistic view that sometimes you can set out on this journey to be a legal professional and it will not work out. And that in house. Nikita is someone that I haven't met in person, as with all of my guests. I mean, I guess they're phenomenal enough online. I think meeting them in person would be a real treat. So my first encounter with Nikita actually was through another colleague's post, where she had, I think, sponsored some case law subscription, and it was something I've always wanted to do. Because this mutual colleague of ours has a fantastic, service where he curates case law, and I'm big on educating candidate attorneys, people advocates, and getting them to read cases for themselves. So, I mean, I guess Nikita did what I've been wanting to do for a while, and I think that's where.
Thanks, Lisa. I really appreciate it. No, I won't bore anyone too much with the details of, uh, the history, so to speak. LnP started in 2017. We actually turned 7 in November this year, so we're super excited about that. The idea behind LnP was to create a specialist law firm that was quite progressive and for women of color. It's turned out to be a lot harder a journey than we anticipated for various reasons. We thought we would organically grow into various practice areas. That's happened on a lot slower basis. We found that some people, and this is going to sound awful to say, but some people confuse if we are all women of color, it means we don't hold ourselves out to the market or industry standards and have found it quite a hard path within the firm. And it is. We might be smaller and we might be niche and we might be specialist, but we certainly have the same turnaround times, the same quality of work, the same level of expertise, the same technical skills as people at any other firm would. And we aspire all the time to do better. And so I think there has been, I think we're a nice firm. I think culturally the firm's really lovely. There's an amazing team, but it is certainly, it's not a soft landing. It is certainly not, a cushioned sort of place where you can hide or your, certain failings or certain things that may be covered or hidden in a large organization. I always say in a small firm, the spotlight shines really bright. And, also in a small firm, I think there is a lot of additional responsibilities at every level. One of our sort of inner values or core values internal to the firm is responsive leadership, and that's at every level. So that's been actually quite hard in terms of ensuring LnP has the brand, has the knowledge, has the type of people that we want. And it's been, a lot harder than we anticipated when we started. But I must tell you, 2024 has been a phenomenal year. And it has been because of the hard decisions we've made in previous years. And that's what we found. If we want to grow, if we want to succeed, we've got to actually make those hard decisions. We've got to take those risks. We've got to be a little bit more entrepreneurial than is, instinctive for lawyers. We've also probably got to be a little bit more ruthless than we would want to be in terms of ensuring that the culture and the team is where we want it to be. So I don't think there's ever anything like a easy journey. But every year at LnP, every month at LnP, there's a new curveball, there's a new crisis, there's a new practice area we want to grow, there's tech we want to get involved in, and all of those things are very, very dependent on the enthusiasm and the backing of the entire team, given that we're a fairly small law firm. But like you say, when we get the ratings, when we get the awards, and I'm very proud to say the team won 2 awards for a medium-sized firm at the Africa Legal Awards on Friday, for Energy Team of the Year, as well as Dispute Team of the Year. So, those kind of things make a big difference. But no, to your point, it is certainly not easy. It is really difficult. And it is far more difficult than you could ever anticipate it being, actually. And the things that you think would be difficult sometimes are not. And the things you never think of as being a stumbling block or being a problem or something that you would have to deal with often are. Every day is a new day. Every day is a learning day. And I think actually that's what makes law exciting, because that's the same with matters, right? No problem is the same. No client is the same. No answer is the same. And all of that makes it really interesting and exciting. But I don't think any lawyer, well, certainly none I know, have had a easy journey of it or a smooth journey. I certainly didn't think I'd start off my articles at a Big 5 firm. I certainly didn't think I'd be running my own law firm. I always say it was a 40th birthday present to myself. But all of those things are incredible. And I can only be grateful for the journey, however winding it may have been. Happy belated birthday. So I think, and this is actually not so much on the business side, but I think for any person wanting to start a law firm, I went back and read the Legal Practice Act and its regulations from cover to cover, and I've got a hard copy printed out. Because yes, we're a business, but we're a highly regulated business, and it's incredibly important, I think, for anyone wanting to start their own law firm, a partnership and incorporated, as opposed to a PTY limited, to be aware of the multitude of regulations and rules, etc., in place relating to running a law firm. And it impacts, not just the actual legal practice, but the accounting aspect of it. The accountants that you appoint might not know about the LPA, and you've got to be HR people that you appoint may not know. So you've got to be aware enough to ensure that you are compliant. So there is that. I think there are a number of lawyers who practice in larger firms, etc. And I was one of them. It didn't matter to me because there was always someone who was able to take care of it. One thought there was always someone able to take care of it. And there, you don't have that safety net when you start your own practice. So I'd say for me, that's definitely a big part of running a law firm. The other thing I think is realize clients never pay in the time frame that you put on your terms and conditions. So definitely have your sets of terms and conditions, but understand that if you don't have a cash flow to pay counsel, to pay salaries, to pay all the research tools, etc., that you need, then you are going to run into problems. It's very rare that we've got clients that pay within the 97 days that we're obliged to pay counsel. And there isn't much leeway there. So there is that as well. I think having that safety net of cash flow, or having clients that you are absolutely sure will pay you within 30 days or even 60 days. At this stage, I'm very grateful when clients pay us within 90 days. It's a win. So I think those are, and I'm going to say this, and I hesitate to say this because I'm going to come across or sound like a complete, what do they say, boomer, to probably the generation of people listening to your to this interview, or Lawyers with Stories, Lisa. And I don't want to sound like that. I also don't want to sound like a complete and absolute cow, which could probably come across as. But, the thing that I found was most surprising, to be honest, was the number of females, brown and black females, who had been in larger firms like I had, or had been in different firms, and were not able to deal with the quite blunt, well, this isn't how clients work, or this is not what is expected. And, it was quite funny because there was no longer, and I felt some sympathy, actually, for my ex-colleagues who were white and male, who always had said to me, oh, they were so afraid to criticize or to correct or to say something negative, if, on the basis that they would be called racist or sexist or something like that. And I never fathomed it. I couldn't, because I had only ever worked for males all the way through my career. And I work in construction and mining, and trust me, there are no tougher critics than your clients in those sectors, I think. To your face, blunt, I've been called the stupidest person in the room. And you just have to take it and soldier on. That's the way it is. And I'm not saying that's acceptable. I'm just saying that's the type of industry I used to work in 20 years ago. It's changed a bit, of course, since then. Not so much, I'm sure. Everyone's nicer, but people are still really, really blunt. But, and you come into an organization like ours where everyone's black and everyone's female, where everyone's brown and everyone's female. And you don't have the ability to go, but that person's being mean to me because I'm black and female, or I'm brown and female, or I'm female. The person giving you that response, the person is, and it's not me necessarily, it's the associate, it's the senior associate, it's your second year candidate attorney to a first year candidate attorney. They're all the same as you. So in addition to being, as I say, a small firm and the spotlight shines really bright, you've also got nowhere to hide in the context of a person who looks and sounds just like you, who's had very similar journey to you, is actually saying to you, this isn't good enough. You need to do it differently. And the people I found who succeed, excel, do fantastically well with their own practices, with clients, with building a team around them, are the people who onboard that and say, okay, let me change this, because it's work. That's all it is at the end of the day. It's work, and we're all constantly improving. I'm learning something new every day. And the people who don't are the people who take that feedback as personal. And it was quite interesting for me because it's at every level. It's not, me speaking to a partner, or it's not me speaking to a junior attorney. It's, as I say, associate speaking to associate, senior associate speaking to junior attorneys to them, or even CAs speaking to CAs. And I found that really fascinating because when we started LnP, I thought, we'll create this environment, and everyone who's amazing and wonderful and phenomenal lawyers, because you've got this environment where your race doesn't matter, your gender doesn't matter, your religion doesn't matter, your sexuality doesn't matter, all of that white noise gets taken away, and you can just focus on work and being the best at your job without the politics of identity that comes in sometimes in what I've traditionally experienced in law firms, or what some of my colleagues have traditionally experienced. And that was not as easy as I thought. We've had issues of bullying, which we've had to deal with between same race, same gender. I'm like, how is this an issue? Like, how is this coming up? But it did, and we had to deal with it. I'm very proud to say it was dealt with, though. It wasn't swept under the carpet. It wasn't kind of, just pushed to one side. We dealt with it, and it was very difficult for everyone to deal with, but we had to. So yeah, that was. I'm sorry. Hopefully, it don't come sound like I said a complete cow, or what is that, boomer, or someone saying, when I was young, I walked 5 miles in the snow bare feet, and it's not that at all. It was just what I thought the environment would create, and I thought, okay, the environment we created, and that's it. We'll fly. Oh my gosh, that wasn't even the foundation. That was the excavation, and then we had to start. So that was so much harder than I thought it would be, and and that does not stop. That is constant. This week alone, we're having conversations about because we're on a recruitment drive. We're having conversations about how we're recruiting and who we're recruiting and what we're recruiting for, and that is a constant conversation. It doesn't stop happening, and that effort and that um, you know vision and that strategy that we're thinking about, that doesn't stop. We don't stop thinking. It's not. I honestly thought we created, it's static, and then we kind of build on it, because being a construction lawyer, that's the foundation. We build on it and we move on and add on other parts. No, that foundation needs to be solidified constantly. Um, and sometimes we need to change tack, and sometimes we need to change, direction. And I'm proud to say that is the one thing we do. We pivot, we swing, we've survived. We are survivors. We'll continue to survive. But yeah, that probably was incredibly hard. And I think, for anyone starting out, I would say that for me was a mind blowing, eye opening sort of start. I think the other thing is, and this is a difficult one because, and it touches on what you said previously about how we've met, through our sponsoring the Spartan case law subscription to some candidate attorneys, and I think some advocates as well, is as a law firm, I think one of the first things you should do before you probably get fancy schmancy offices and blah, 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 is sign up for your legal research subscription services, LexisNexis, Spartan case law, whatever it is, however minimal you can, afford to pay, then do that, because the quality of your work, your technical ability is only as good as the research you're able to access. And for us, that was critical. We may not give ourselves increases, we may not, whatever the thing is, but we will always ensure that we have access to these top-notch research facilities. So yeah, that's quite important for us. I think I've done as I always do and digressed along a different path to what your question was, but yeah, that's it. And I think be prepared to work a lot harder than you thought. It's no lawyer works a 9-to-5 job. But when you are in a small law firm, you're not just lawyering. You're also the HR person, the accounts person, the recruitment person, all of that, the marketing person, all of it. So yeah. always say, I always say, and I don't take myself out of this, Luke, we're very much type A narcissistic personalities. I don't know if we're probably not allowed to say that, but I find that to be true. I find the employment lawyers to be the most empathetic of us. The employment lawyers, the family lawyers, to be the most empathetic of us. The rest of us is so, we become so hardened, I think, over the years. And yeah, you're right. We're a completely different breed of animal, or whatever you want to call it, species or whatever. And yeah, I think and I think sometimes we're not all team players. We don't always realize what that. So yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh, I can say that for myself as well. And when you are a hardworking lawyer and you kind of become, confident about your own ability to get to an answer. It might not be an answer a client wants, but it's an answer, and you know that you're on the right track. The longer you do that, and the better you do that, and I say this for myself, the more and being slightly self-aware as well, but also realizing that the more, and it's terrible to admit, but the more you just become confident that you're always right. And the one thing I've learned with being, and I said this to someone yesterday, was that lawyers, I think over the age of 28, 30 at the absolute outset, no longer have an original thought in our heads. We are so conditioned to, think in a certain way and to do things in a certain way. And I was saying to someone yesterday that, if you want your law firm to continue to innovate, to continue to be great at what it does, you've got to go to the candidate attorneys, associates, senior associates. I say that because they're probably the people younger than they're 28, and they're the ones who are going to give you the amazing ideas, the innovative stuff. The rest of us, I think we've become so stuck in our ways and uh, confident in our own thoughts, and that's the worst thing I think you can do in a law firm, is be convinced that the partners have all the answers to culture and innovation, etc. I Yeah, yeah. I have huge, I think, space for debate because when I was, and the reason I'm a construction lawyer is because I worked for the most amazing boss ever, who was a construction specialist. And, I'm sure if he'd been an environmental lawyer, I would have turned out to be an environmental lawyer. It just so happened that this is what he did, and I loved working for him. And he had an absolute capacity for debate. So I have no issues with debate as long as it's, and I suppose I'm putting a caveat on this or narrowing it down, but I love debate. It's part of being a lawyer. But also have knowledge in your debate. I have absolutely no time for someone who's going to come to me and debate, let's just choose a random example, who's going to come to me and debate something as innocuous as a tech thing you want to have when you actually haven't researched it or you haven't looked at it. If you're going to come to me and debate why X instead of Z, have your data to back up X. That's what makes you a lawyer. You're not going, no lawyer goes to court, no advocate goes to court, no lawyer writes an opinion if you don't have your facts to back it up, if you don't have your cases, you don't have your common law, you don't have the statutes you're quoting. So I love debate, and I love people who can debate with me. I find it invigorating. I think it's the lawyer in me. I've been forcing my 9-year-old niece to like debate with me since she was 3. It's probably not done a lot for her parents' happiness with me and her personality, but like now she will, come back with her responses and she'll think about these things, and I love that. And especially as I said, because I think it's the younger lawyers, everyone younger than 28, who are going to come up with the innovation and the response. But what I have found, and it's again, I'm going to sound like a, shall I just call it a boomer cow? I don't have a lot of to say. What I love about people coming out of university, candidates, attorneys, associates, junior attorneys at this point, is that they want to do things more quickly and they're so open to using tech. Where I think there's a mismatch is that there's no tech for law, right? Specifically. So tech that people use in their day-to-day lives is quite intuitive. Your cell phone, right? It's quite intuitive. And in law at the moment, there's not, I'm sure it'll change, rapidly over the next year to 5 years, given all the advances in AI. But at the moment, it's not intuitive. Your research is not intuitive. Your drafting is not necessarily intuitive. We're just not there yet. Maybe in other countries, maybe in other bigger international firms. I don't know. I wouldn't actually know. But we're certainly not there. And that's where I find, that if you're going to debate and put forward something or put forward a solution, have your data to back it up, because you are actually talking to and debating with people who have either looked at it or have been doing it a lot longer, and experience counts for a lot. And I'm not in any way saying that because someone is more experienced gives them the right answer versus someone younger with the wrong answer. But you are talking to people who read all the time as well and who research all the time. So they do probably have some responses that would be worth listening to. But no, for me, I've got no issue with the debate. I've got issue with if you don't have the data to back up with your debate. And also the realization that if you want to use tech in law, it's not as intuitive as it is in your natural non-legal life, So you've got to make, and weirdly enough, I found older lawyers rely a lot more on tech shortcuts than younger lawyers do, which is weird to me. Why wouldn't you want to have something be shorter? And then I came to the realization it's because I'm still using, randomly, I'm giving you an example, a shortcut key. Whereas the younger lawyer expects to be able to say, do this, and it's supposed to happen. And we're not there yet. So that's my take, Lisa. Sorry. But I love debate. That's it. And give me a solution as well. And give me a solution. If you don't like something, you can't moan about it. You give me a solution. You can moan about it, but that's not going to help anyone. Just give me a solution. Give me what your proposal is. And I think, that's the step you're probably talking about. And that is such a lawyer thing to do. We're so solution oriented. We're so I've very rarely met a lawyer who doesn't want to help give you a solution, who doesn't want to help a client with an answer. You know, all the lawyers I know and the lawyers I love, and I think that makes them amazing lawyers, are solution oriented lawyers. Pragmatic, practical. Yes, here's all the law, but this is what you must do with it. And so when in your lawyer life, the things that you do daily, you've got to have solutions. So you can't just moan, oh, I don't know, the start time, I don't like the start time. Come up with a solution to it, or come up with a proposal. That's the idea. And that's a lot of, it's part of the responsive leadership that I mentioned earlier for LnP. That's quite important for us. Is people at every level who take responsibility for coming up with a solution. Because what affects you as a junior lawyer starting out is not what affects me. And let's be blunt about that. I'm not necessarily the person printing out the bundle that goes to counsel. So I don't know the issues with the printer. And that's just the reality of life. Do I think that there should be something where junior lawyers don't have to print? Absolutely. Have I been able to come up with a solution? No. Because inevitably there's that bundle that needs to be printed at 10 o'clock at night and there's no print shop open, no matter how you plan. And it's always the most junior lawyer on the team who's doing the printing. So the frustrations that you have at your different levels are not frustrations that another lawyer would experience in the team. So it's almost always incumbent on you to come up with a solution because it's the problem you will constantly have. Hmm. I have So, mm, so I think, if I split that out, is we started out with a lot of ideas. For example, my view is good lawyers are independent people with their own minds. Trying to get a group of lawyers to agree anything is like trying to herd cats, right? We all have a view. And so, for example, when we started out, we didn't have an official start time. Your work is done, we have budgets, we have deadlines. And then one day a junior lawyer missed a meeting at 11 o'clock because they weren't in the office. At which point we then said, okay, shoot, we now have to have an official start time. And that broke my heart a little bit, to be honest, because that was never the kind of firm we wanted to have. Um, but we had to. And we've come to the realization that, and it was a hard realization for me, particularly, that treating everyone fairly does not mean treating everyone the same. Some people thrive in conditions of freedom and responsibility. Some people don't. And we've had to realize that in how we work. So, for example, we were working towards a 4-day week. And we came to the realization that not everyone's able to do it. There was also the realization from some of the lawyers that I don't actually want to work a 4-day week. It stresses me out. I'd rather split my work over a 5-day week and just, do that. So we've had to adapt to that. So that was one of the things that was to realize treating everyone fairly is not treating everyone the same or equally. You've got to actually cater for the individual. How that scales up, I'm not sure. Because at the moment, we're a small firm and it's manageable. If you've got a firm of 100 people, I don't know how one manages to do that. So, but I'll tell you, when we get there, I will let you know, Lisa, how we don't want to lose that. The other thing, it's easy for me to talk to you about culture because I'm the most senior person in the firm if you're talking about hierarchy, not, seniority. So I can sit here and talk to you about culture. But if you really want to know about the culture of our firm, I'll, you chat to our associates, senior associates, chat to the lawyers in the firm because it's not, I can tell you what I'm trying to achieve through LnP, what the partners at LnP are trying to achieve. But again, it's just words. And a lot of lawyers can string a lot of words together very nicely and make you believe anything. For you to know the culture, you'd have to talk to the lawyers, the junior lawyers, the associates, the senior associates that are here, that believe in the culture. It's not an easy place, and I think that's also one of the realizations. And gosh, I feel like I'm going to get into trouble, so much trouble, because I've said so many controversial things here. But it's one of the realizations as well. I think people come into a small law firm and somehow think it's a very soft, easy place. And yes, it's not, because the work is the work, and it's tough, and it's hard, and our clients haven't changed, by the way, because we're suddenly a smaller law firm. And I must confess, I don't know that we get the clients we do because of law firm culture or because we're female. I think we get the clients we do because, and again, not to sound like a arrogant type A narcissistic lawyer, but we get the clients we do because we're bloody good at what we do. And to be that good, we work very, very hard about it. We work hard at it. We take this seriously. I take this seriously. And it's not because it's my name on the door. I take it seriously because someone is paying me an awful lot of money, and because I take pride in putting out a product that is exceptional, putting out a solution that is innovative, in creating something that an experience that a client will not get somewhere else. And so that I'm passionate about, as you can hear. And anyone who works here has to be passionate about that. So that is where culture, I think, is different to the work is hard. The deadlines are tough. The mandates are huge. But from a cultural perspective, what are we trying to create? I can tell you as to whether it's working, you'd have to speak to the lovely, lovely team members we have. But we're trying to create a place where, as I said, everyone has a space to be themselves. You can be authentic. Uh, you know, we have a social contract that we've signed up to that we will continue to, it's a living document. We will look at it every 6 months. We will expand on it, update it. We have things that we call the it's okay, and it's all over the office, things that we find it's okay to do, and that anyone coming in can have a look at and know that it's okay, because some of these, it's the unwritten rules of a team. Culturally, I still believe in the vision, however, divergent apart it's taken, that I've tried to create, and that Rick and I tried to create from the start, which is, let there be no white noise. Let there be no politics about your race, gender, ethnicity, religion, blah, 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 blah. And let's just focus on the work. And I think everything else will flow from the people that you bring in. We make huge mistakes, unfortunately, because everyone interviews really well, right? Everyone interviews well. I feel like ChatGPT and all of these things prep you for an interview exceptionally well. But who we're recruiting for, and like the type of people we're trying to recruit, are the type of people that want to be builders, that want to own and have their say in a law firm that they can be proud of. And the lawyering comes, after that. Yes, I don't know if I've answered your question, because I don't think culture comes from the top down. I think it should come from the bottom up. Yeah. We do have offices in KZN, Lisa. We must showcase the Durban office a little bit more than we do. Yeah, no, it is very small. Mm. No, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. I'm definitely a big proponent of, set it out and everyone knows what the expectations are. Um, I still think it's easier said than done. I think our firm's lovely. I think the people are lovely. I think what we're trying to aspire to do is lovely, but it's very easy for me to say. But I also know that it is not a soft, sweet place. Not who we are. Like, everyone's nice, don't get me wrong. And, someone's always bringing in cakes. Someone's always like, remembering a birthday. Never me, by the way, who remembers these things. But there are people who do that. And it's lovely. But I think let's not confuse an environment and a culture where you've cut out the white noise with, oh, it's a soft, secure, comforting place to be. It's still work and it's hard work. So yeah, sorry, I'm stressing that because I think a lot of people who who think of LnP and who think, oh, I wonder what it's like, assume that because there's no issues, or we try very hard to ensure, and when it does arise, we cut it out. We're ruthless about that, like we attended to the bullying. But we in cutting out the noise, again, I go, there's no place to hide. You can't say, you can't allege and scream racism, sexism, misogyny, that kind of thing. It's not there. And that makes it a much harder place, I think. If you've come from an environment where people were a little bit concerned and a little bit worried about giving you feedback because of how it would be construed. Sorry to sound so dire about it, but I just wanted to stress that because it it is easy in one way, but it's only easy if you take up that opportunity and you onboard it, and you then go out and be the best lawyer you can be, because the environment and the platform is there. But if you're so used to having people, it's like that. I don't know if HR people still say this these days, or if it's the psychology of it. But back in the day, they used to say, "Oh, if you want to say something negative, you must say 5 or 7 positive things about someone before you say the negative." And there's two things. I have two responses to that. One, research shows that when it's males never hear the negative. If you start off telling a male, and there's research on this point, if you start off telling a male about the good things they do, they don't actually get to the bad thing. They just, their brains don't hear it. And secondly is, we're lawyers. Why would I disrespect you by putting out the 5 things or 7 things that, in order to comfort you around the constructive criticism? And I mean, of course, I'd love to hear if that's the wrong approach. But all the lawyers that I work with in my team are, just tell me what I need to do, and then I'll fix it, and we'll go on. I don't need to hear the 5 things. I hear from you all the time, all the good things I do. I don't need to hear that in order to feel better about the criticism. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, or how any of your listeners feel about that. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. I think yeah. But I think you raise a very good point, is that if you're coming straight out of university, um, and I do think schools and universities probably mollycoddle a lot these days, given the way the educational system works. Is, I think you're correct, and that's the part I've probably missed, is that you don't have that support structure or that safety net of feeling comfortable and confident enough to just deal with the negative, I don't want to call it negative feedback, to deal with the feedback without being told, look, you're really good at what you do, but here's the things you need to improve on. And I think it's a whole other podcast, because, and it's something we've been debating and discussing this entire year internally, with recruitment and with the team, is there seems to be a wider and wider gap between students coming out of their LLB and articles. And I don't know why that is. I don't know what that is. But there just seems to be this widening gap. And that's not great for law firms. That's not great for the universities. That's not great for people starting their articles. And, that I think deserves its entirely own podcast, or sorry, webinar, whatever these things are called. Sorry, something like that. But that gap is widening, and that's not healthy for anyone. So on that dire note, I suppose as we've reached our hour, Lisa. Well, I don't think I'm the best person. I will put you in contact with our lovely, lovely team members who've joined at different, stages, director, associate, who've been here for different periods of time, and maybe they can chat to you about their experience. I feel it's really artificial for me to talk to you about, the culture. Am I slightly controversial? By the way, my team's a lot more polished and less controversial than I am. So okay, I will do that. I'll check with them about how they feel about, some of them are more shy than others, but I'll definitely send through their details. They're all wonderful people. All right, cool. Me too. I'm sorry about the changing of stuff, life and lawyer life, I suppose. So thank you. And thank you for inviting me. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully, I haven't been too controversial, too old, too whatever the case is. I always feel like my time has passed now. It's like the younger generation to do all of these wonderful things. Oh, really? Okay. Uh, I feel like I don't know, Lisa. I was born in the 70s. I feel like I'm a little bit older than that. Um, cool. Lisa, thank you so much for the opportunity. And hopefully, people from LnP will be chatting to you again and look forward to engaging outside of this as well. No, I suppose we've got our website as well, and we've got an info email address on the website. We've got a link if you want to apply for a position at LnP. And I think we've got, sorry, I'm such a Luddite. I think we've got a Facebook page and an Instagram page. I have no idea what those are, but but I think the links are on our website as well. And it's www.lnpbeyondlegal.com. Yes, that's right. Yeah, yeah.com. Perfect. Thanks, Lisa. Have a great Tuesday. Bye.